I read 5 books in the month of April. So the first book I finished in the month of April was Dune Messiah by Frank Herbert. This is the second book in the Dune series. I read the first Dune book simply because it was collecting dust on my shelf and I was enamored immediately by the story. I fell in love with the universe. I scoured the internet to find this copy. This is a bit of a change of pace from the first Dune novel. We actually have quite a big time jump. We go 12 years into the future. A lot of people I've seen online don't necessarily like that time jump, but I actually really enjoyed it. There's another change of pace in regards to the action-packed writing. There's not much action in this story. This is more political, I would say, than the first book. The first book had a lot of action. This does not have much at all, but nevertheless, the ending of this was completely outrageous. I cannot believe how it ended. Just everything that happened in this story, I've just been imagining the next Dune movie that comes out, and I am on the edge of my seat. The only issue I had with this book was I was disappointed with how women were portrayed. They felt very one-dimensional. A lot of the conversations and one of the main story arcs was in regards to Paul getting and producing an heir. It seemed like some certain women in this story were only there to produce an heir and they brought nothing other to the table. But apart from that, I really enjoyed this book. This was really easy to read as well. It's much shorter than the first Dune book. And yeah, I love this one. The next book I read was Love and Virtue by Diana Reid. This book is about a uni student who starts at a new university in a completely new place. She's trying to settle in when something really horrendous happens to her on her orientation week. We tackle a lot of really deep and dark topics in this book. My only issue with it is the fact that because there is so many dark topics that get brought to the forefront, I felt like there just wasn't enough pages to fully flesh out everything. We talk about consent, problematic teacher-student relationships, toxic friendship dynamics, misogyny, and female competitiveness, and there's only 300 pages. So I felt like it fell a little bit flat, but otherwise I think this is a really important book. I would still recommend it to people. The next book I read was John Steinbeck's short little book, The Red Pony. I love John Steinbeck's writing. I read East of Eden and Of Mice and Men, and I rated both of those 5 stars. John Steinbeck writes stories and characters devoid of hope so incredibly well that without a doubt, every single time I read one of his novels, I turn the last page and I am left just sitting there marinating and reeling over what he has written. This story was incredibly sad. This is about a boy growing up in the country. He gets gifted a red pony and he learns about the just hopelessness of the world. Since I am very well equipped with John Steinbeck's writing, I did kind of expect to be sad and love this book at the same time going in, so I wasn't surprised when that came true. The next book I read was On the Calculation of Volume by Solveig Ball. This is translated from the Danish by Barbara J. Havland. This is nominated for the International Booker Prize. I am making my way through the shortlist, and this was the first book I picked up, and oh my goodness, it was incredible. This is the musings of a woman that has been slipping through the fabric of time. She wakes up every day and experiences the same day over and over again. I didn't expect this to be so philosophical, so hedonistic. I finished this in the early hours of the morning after I first woke up. It was 5 a.m, the sun was rising, and it was the perfect time to turn the last page. I think it's a very big testament to the translator how incredible this book is. Being able to translate and effectively show her writing in such a beautiful way. I looked at the sun rising in a different way, in a different light. This is the start of my International Booker Prize shortlist journey, and honestly, if it stopped here, I'd be absolutely pleased because this is incredible. This was an immediate 5 stars for me. And the last book I finished for the month of April is Jeanette Winterson's The Daylight Gate. I actually just filmed a yap about this in another YouTube video where I talked about this in a little bit more depth, but I was actually quite disappointed by this story. I have seen raving reviews and praise for her writing online, so I picked it up and I read it. This is about witches, the Pendle Hill witches in 1612, which was a mass hanging of accused witches. Over 10 women were hung and even more were imprisoned. I was very disappointed with the depiction, and I'm not deterred. I'm not deterred at all. I will be picking up another one of her novels and trying it out before I make my decision on Jeanette Winterson. I did enjoy her writing style. I just didn't like how she went about this story. Please let me know what you guys are planning on reading for the next month. If you have read any of these books, please let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts and to see if they align with my own.